Well, excuse me, but you hold that cigarette well. In fact, I think I'm in love. I feel my little heart swell. Can I have a seat? Share a coffee or two? I can't believe I'd say this, but I think I love you.
Welcome back to Daytime. I'm Michael Eckford.
And I'm Fiona Forbes.
And that's Ralph, right there. Beat poet, fanzine editor, graphic artist, Mr. Marketing. I think I can just call you right now. Welcome to the
Not
show.
a marketing tool that you don't have, Ralph.
Ralph Alfonso. Beat poetry.
Yes.
It's a little bit of a rare field, I would think.
Yeah, it's a very stereotyped sort of genre, and people have these visions of people with bongos and berets and striped shirts and goatees.
Yeah, well,
I was going to say.
You're really busting those out right now.
But and also I think that the problem with a lot of modern poetry today is that sort of the negative people have taken over a lot of it, and so I think the general public now has this misconception of people yelling and screaming, and I sort of went back to the real roots of what a lot of it was, which was very simple and very positive and very, in some ways, sort of life-affirming. And I thought, you know, I'll take that. But in order to get people interested again, you have to take some of the stereotypes that are involved with that whole beat genre and just to reclaim them.
Do you think some of the intimidation factor with poetry and poets comes from high school? I know it does a little bit for me.
Completely from high school, because you're taught from a very early age that this is a literary form that is whose sole function is for you to study. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, you don't kind of go, well,
enjoy it, don't let it wash over you.
It's like, oh, I think I'm going to read a poem tonight and just relax.
Break it down into iambic pentameter, alliteration.
But I mean, my awakening came in high school. I was going through one of those really bad poetry high school books, and right in the middle of this book, I don't know why it was there was a poem by a beat poet called Lawrence Ferlinghetti. Completely changed my mind about poetry in general, and I thought, hey, this is pretty cool, I can do this. And I didn't realize it was beat poetry at the time. I just knew it was something different.
Something that you like. Well, you must have found a lot of people out there that like it as well, because your little fanzine here.
Yeah.
It ain't little anymore.
It's not little at all. It goes out. You've got a huge circulation. How did you get this whole thing started?
Well, I was busy doing it for myself mostly, and just handing it out for free in bookstores. And then Peter Zowski on Morningside discovered me, and they put me on the show, and I had a little band. I had never performed live or done anything before prior to that, and
no pressure being live on Morningside at all.
And it was such an amazing interview that within a day I got like 300 to 400 letters from all sorts of people, like 16-year-olds, 7-year-olds, and they basically said, Ralph, we like, you're a fun guy. We can understand your poetry, and we like what you're saying. Send me this magazine. And so it's snowballed from there, and it's become this industry. Well, although it's not a profit-making industry by any means, but it's fun. I mean, I've got 3 CDs out. There's a book you can buy now, a website.
And
Virgin Records. Can we just give a plug right there? It has the first 25 issues of Ralph, the fanzine.
What's happened is the postal strike kind of stopped the Canadian distributor from getting the word out to bookstores, but Virgin Records here went directly to the American publisher, and they've got, I think, 40 copies upstairs, and they're really cheap. They're $15.95 or something.
As the Russians would call it, Virgin Records. Yeah. One of the things that I loved about the fanzine, is that what you call it, a fanzine?
Yeah, a zine, yeah.
Okay, a zine. One of the things that I liked about it was, of course, the poetry. And now I'm guessing that either you've had one really beautiful, really long relationship, or you fall in love pretty easily.
All of the above. But the beauty of it is, I'm not unique in that, and I think the way I look back on these sort of hapless encounters is something that other people can relate to. I mean, like why, for example, does one of the biggest fights in one of my relationships was always when we were going out. My girlfriend would look great, except when you look down, she'd have like the most horrid shoes. And
so it inspired you to write poetry.
I wrote a poem about it, and
what's the name of the poem?
I love you, baby.
but you got ugly shoes.
Yeah.
I think it's something like
that.
So it's just normal, everyday stuff. Ralph's going to write a poem.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, it's not necessarily trivial, but it's, you know,
it's life.
it's life. That's the way it is.
And sometimes life is a little bit trivial.
You know, and you got to take things lightheartedly. You know, like I'm not here to change the world by any means. You know, and you know, I'm up against, you know, like I think the general public's conception of poetry is Hallmark cards. You know, because I remember when I used to have fights with women, I'd go to the Hallmark store and there's a card for every kind of fight.
Everything.
Every kind of fight. Honey, I forgot to make the bed this morning card. You know, really sorry. And I thought, well, you know, what if you took that kind of light-heartedness but put a bit more substance and meat to it? What would happen? You know, and
Very
like
nice.
if there's another level of meaning to it.
How did it go from you writing your poetry in the zine into performing live?
It's very, very snaky at first, you know, and I'm still learning as I go along. Like I've toured Canada 3 times now, but I'm finding, you know, it's almost like a little bit of a crusade, you know. I call it the Little Beat Crusade, where
In the smelly van, I think you referred to
yeah,
it.
where I get some musicians. We get in the smelly van and we go across Canada, and every situation is different. I have no idea who's going to be there, if they're going to be sympathetic, if they're going to be sort of Lugans, you know, ready to knock us down. But and it's always the same. The first 5 or 10 minutes, people are like, what the hell is going on here?
Boy, what are you spouting off up there?
But halfway through, everybody's having a good time. I've had people dance. You know, when I've got a full band, you can actually dance to it all. And
From what I heard, it sounds pretty groovy.
you know,
Now-
You can dance to it. It's got a good
Actually,
beat.
I do like it very
We're
much
really
so.
short on time, but we do have a couple of the CDs to give away if you want to figure out what Ralph's all about. You can't pick up the book at Virgin Records. And Virgin Records, 431-1260. We're pressed for time. We'll take the 5th and the 10th caller through.
There we go.
Autograph CD for each of you.
And you're going to be performing for us in a couple of minutes. And
That's
I just
right.
want to pass along one of the Ralph travel tips. If you're in a nice sweaty car and it smells like musicians, put some juice-flavored gum or some fruity gum on the dashboard, and it'll just waft through the
one of your
car.
tricks, Ralph?
Absolutely.
That's right.
I love that, Ralph. Thanks very much. We're looking forward to seeing you perform in just 1 second. We're going to take a break and come back with a performance from Ralph Alfonso. Ralph.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to Daytime. I'm here solo right now because Michael stepped out to stitch his pants up, and I've got my coffee ready, and I think we've got some jazz and poetry on the way with Ralph Alfonso and Tom Harrison. Take it away, guys.
So many bright lights. In this city without night. We spoke words we found in little translation books, but you don't need books because one silent walk, holding hands, said so much more. So many people, so many people. Man, it didn't matter. Because when we kissed, oh, when we kissed, they all went away. And when your eyes looked over your little pink coffee cup, well, you know I had to smile. Because it's always jazz on the jukebox. When you drink coffee in Tokyo, maybe it's Verve, maybe it's Blue Note, maybe Arlen, maybe Porter. Man, it doesn't matter the order, because it's sunshine or flowers in winter in love.
That was Ralph, Alfonso, and Tom Harrison. And
I can't believe how well that transfers over to live.
It does.
That's amazing.
It really does. And we'll be hearing more from them at the end of the show, and we'll tell you where they're playing around town if you want to catch them. Something else that's playing around town right now is at the Vancouver Playhouse. It is called Atlantis, and it's a two-person play, which is kind of unusual when we had to have two people in a cast.
No pressure for the two actors. We'll leave you with some more of the fine beat performance poetry. Don't know quite what to call it. Tom Harrison and Mr. Ralph Alfonso. Guys, take us out of the show, and thank you for coming by.
Thank you, and here's something for today. It may feel a little cold tonight, but I don't mind. You see, in these winter moments, I find January's a good time for jazz. Oh, you poor baby, your lips are all blue. Well, they just need a good kiss, and it's true. January's a good time for jazz. January's a good time for jazz.
You guys have something else you can play? We've got a little time left.
Sure. I just want to mention that we're playing Squamish January 30th up at Xantine's Coffee and Tea, so you can bring all those snowshoes and stuff up there. Valentine's Day show in White Rock with the full band. With the full band. This is not our usual complement of musicians, but there are extenuating circumstances. But here's something from the new album, Sophisticated Boom Boom, and you can see this at the Roadhouse Eatery, White Rock, Valentine's Day. We'll be playing this. Halifax, 3 a.m. Man, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. We're in some creepy bar in Halifax.